I grew up invisible in a family that celebrated my sister's every success while I was left forgotten and dismissed. But the day I walked across that graduation stage, everything changed. Before starting this story, if you are listening from USA, please leave a comment with number 9. And if you are from another country, please leave the name of your lovely country. Don't forget to like the video and subscribe to the channel to listen to more stories. My name is Claire Harrison. Growing up in the quiet suburbs of Ohio, my family's 2-story brick house with its neatly trimmed lawn looked like something out of a storybook. Yet behind that picture-perfect facade, a different story unfolded, one where I was always the shadow, the unseen daughter. My parents, Mark and Evelyn, seemed to hold my younger sister, Brooke, on a pedestal, while I was left navigating a world of cold indifference. From as early as I can remember, the difference was clear. Brooke had golden curls that caught the light just right and an effortless charm that made adults gush over her at family gatherings. She was the one who got the latest toys, the biggest hugs, and the endless encouragement. Meanwhile, my gifts were met with polite nods or, worse, dismissive remarks. "Claire, you're good at art, but it's just a hobby," Dad would say, glancing away as if to end the conversation. On holidays, Brooke's pile of presents always outshone mine, a fact that stung more deeply than any words ever could. I still recall those Christmas mornings, sitting on the living room floor, peeling back wrapping paper to find practical gifts like socks or discount craft kits. When I asked why Brooke received so much more, Mom would say, "She needs more support to develop her talents." I was only 8, but I understood that my parents didn't see me the same way they saw her. Instead of feeling jealous, I learned to swallow the disappointment and mask my pain behind a quiet smile. School events only made the disparity clearer. For Brooke's science fairs, both parents took the day off, helping her create elaborate projects and cheering the loudest. For my art shows, I was lucky if Mom could spare 15 minutes during her lunch break. That absence wasn't just physical, it was the weight of unspoken judgment, the message that my achievements mattered less. Yet in the midst of this family imbalance, one person saw me. Grandma Eleanor's lake house was my refuge. While sitting on the porch sketching the tranquil water and whispering trees, she told me, "Claire, you have a unique light. Don't let anyone dim it." Her unwavering belief planted the first seeds of resilience in me. Those early years weren't easy, but they shaped the core of who I became, a girl determined not to be invisible any longer. The weight of being overlooked could have crushed me, but it ignited something fierce instead. My grandmother, Eleanor, was the first to truly see beyond the shadow I lived in. Every summer at her lakeside cottage, she became my refuge and my greatest supporter. As we sat watching the sun dip behind the trees, she'd look at me with steady eyes and say, "Claire, your light is different. It shines from within. Never let anyone tell you otherwise." Those words settled deep inside me, sparking a quiet determination that I hadn't known I possessed. I realized early that relying on my parents' approval was a path paved with disappointment. Instead, I had to forge my own way, to prove my worth through actions and accomplishments they couldn't ignore. School became my battleground. While Brooke effortlessly excelled in her chosen activities, I found strength in subjects others overlooked: math, economics, and entrepreneurship. I threw myself into every opportunity to learn and lead, joining business clubs and entering competitions that challenged me to think beyond the classroom. But with that drive came a simmering anger. I was furious not just at the unfairness I faced, but at the painful quiet of my parents' dismissal. Every time they praised Brooke or brushed off my achievements, the fire inside me grew hotter. I refused to be the forgotten daughter, the one who faded into the background. My teachers noticed the change too. Mr. Jacobs, my economics instructor, once told me, "Claire, you have a rare spark, don't let it dim. You're capable of extraordinary things." Those words were balm to my bruised spirit and fuel for my ambitions. Though the road ahead was daunting, I was ready. The shadows of my childhood no longer defined me. Instead, they became the very thing that pushed me forward. lighting the path toward the future I was determined to claim. The day Brooke and I both received our acceptance letters from Westbridge University should have been a moment of shared celebration. Instead, it became the most painful reminder of the divide between us. Brooke, my younger sister by 2 years, had always been the favorite. Now, with her letter in hand for the political science program, she was the star of our parents' attention. When I announced my acceptance into the business program, excitement swelled within me. For once, I felt a glimpse of recognition, but my parents' response was chillingly indifferent. "That's good, Claire," Dad said without looking up from his phone. Minutes later, Brooke burst through the door, waving her own letter, and suddenly the room erupted in celebration. Mom embraced Brooke tightly, her eyes shining with pride, while I sat quietly, the warmth of their approval directed entirely elsewhere. A few weeks later, during a rare family dinner where phones were set aside, my father broke the silence with a statement that would shatter whatever hope I held. "We've been saving for Brooke's education since she was born," he said, his gaze fixed solely on her. "We can cover Westbridge's tuition for her. Claire, you'll need to explore loans or community college options." My heart dropped. I sat frozen, stunned by the finality of their decision. The words were sharp and unyielding. "Brooke has shown more academic promise," Mom added, reaching out to pat my hand in a gesture meant to soothe but only deepened my hurt. "You've always been more independent." That night, alone in my room, I felt the sting of rejection unlike any before. Years of trying to prove myself, my perfect grades, and relentless work ethic counted for nothing. The unfairness was a bitter pill, but beneath the pain, something fierce began to rise. I was determined not to let their lack of faith dictate my future. Their rejection lit a fire in me, a refusal to accept their version of my worth. I vowed to carve my own path, to finance my education on my own terms, and to prove that success wasn't just about their approval. This was not just about college, it was about reclaiming my identity, my value, and my right to be seen. Starting college without my parents' financial support was like stepping into a storm. I had no choice but to weather. I found a tiny apartment nearly an hour's drive from campus, sharing it with 3 strangers I met through an online housing forum. The peeling paint on the walls and the constant drip from a leaky faucet were daily reminders that this new life was far from glamorous. Balancing classes, work, and bills quickly became my reality. I landed a job at a bustling local cafe, working early mornings before lectures and late evenings afterward. On weekends, I stocked shelves at a bookstore just to make ends meet. Sleep was scarce, meals were often skipped, and the social life that other students enjoyed felt like a distant dream. Yet, amidst the exhaustion, I found moments of unexpected kindness. Zoe, my roommate, noticed my fatigue and started leaving homemade meals with my name on the container in the fridge. One night, she sat me down and said bluntly, "Claire, this pace isn't sustainable. You'll burn out before midterms if you keep going like this." Her concern felt like a lifeline. She helped me edit papers, created study aids, and defended my study time from distractions. For the first time since leaving home, I felt supported. Classes weren't easy, but my relentless work ethic paid off. While other students struggled to grasp the concepts, I applied what I learned in real time, managing my tight budget and juggling responsibilities. My business ethics professor, Dr. Reynolds, once pulled me aside. "Claire, your insight into resource management is impressive. You're turning adversity into advantage." But then reality hit harder. One fall semester, the cafe cut hours due to slow business, slashing my income by nearly 40%. Suddenly, the careful budget I had maintained collapsed overnight. Rent was due, tuition deadlines loomed, and panic settled in. In desperation, I reached out to the university's financial aid office, Ms. Patel, the assistant director, listened to my story with sympathy and offered an emergency grant along with guidance on securing a research assistant position. The new job paid better and aligned with my studies, providing not just income but intellectual challenge and mentorship. These trials forged a resilience in me I never expected. Each obstacle was a test, but also a chance to prove that I could not be broken. The harsh reality of my situation only strengthened my resolve to succeed, no matter the cost. With the research assistant position secured, a new chapter of my college life began, one where I was no longer just surviving, but steadily building something meaningful. Working alongside Dr. Reynolds on her study of small business resilience opened my eyes to real-world challenges and innovations. I realized that my struggles were more than just obstacles. They were the foundation for a future I could shape with my own hands. Inspired, I launched a modest online virtual assistant service aimed at helping local small businesses with administrative tasks. Using the marketing and digital media skills I learned in class, I built a simple website and crafted service packages tailored to the needs I observed in my research. Late nights blurred into early mornings as I juggled classes, work, and the growing demands of my fledgling business. Slowly but surely, my client list expanded. By my junior year, I had grown the business enough to leave my bookstore job behind and hire 2 fellow students as part-time associates. Turning theory into practice was exhilarating, and my professors began to take notice. My insights in business strategy classes carried the weight of real experience, and classmates often sought my advice on their projects. Meanwhile, Brooke's college life took a different turn. The challenges of her political science program revealed gaps in her work ethic and research skills. One evening, she showed up at my apartment, eyes red and voice trembling, confessing she was failing her senior thesis, despite our history. I welcomed her in. Helping Brooke navigate the academic hurdles became a surprising bridge between us, and our study sessions grew into a genuine connection. As my business thrived, so did my confidence. Scholarships and awards followed, with the pinnacle being a prestigious entrepreneurial excellence scholarship that covered my entire senior year tuition. Each recognition was a quiet victory against the doubt that had shadowed my journey. I was transforming the ashes of rejection into the flames of success. The girl who had once felt invisible was becoming a respected entrepreneur and scholar, proof that determination, when fueled by resilience, could rewrite any story. The morning of graduation dawned crisp and clear, the kind of day that seemed to hold its breath in anticipation. After years of relentless effort, I was about to stand on a stage that symbolized far more than just a diploma. It was the culmination of every struggle, every moment I'd been dismissed and underestimated. Brooke and I wore our black robes and caps, standing side by side in the bustling crowd of graduates. The campus was alive with excitement, family members filling the seats, their voices a gentle hum of pride and celebration. I caught sight of my parents in the front row, their eyes fixed on Brooke with unmistakable admiration. They barely glanced in my direction, as if I were invisible despite all I had accomplished. The ceremony began with speeches about perseverance and achievement. My heart pounded as the moment to receive my degree approached. When my name was called, a familiar whistle cut through the polite applause, Grandma Eleanor's unmistakable sign of pride. Brooke gave me a subtle thumbs up as we passed each other on stage, a silent acknowledgement of how far we'd both come, but on very different journeys. Then came the moment that would change everything. The university president returned to the podium, clearing his throat before announcing special recognitions. "We invite Claire Harrison of the School of Business to deliver this year's student address." The hall quieted as I stepped forward, the weight of their stares settling over me. I took a deep breath and began. Speaking of resilience and redefining success on my own terms, I told the story of working 30 hours a week, building a thriving business, and maintaining academic excellence, all without financial support from my family. My voice grew stronger with each word, the pain of years past fueling my conviction. Without naming names, I highlighted the power of proving doubters wrong and the importance of believing in oneself when others refuse to. The applause that followed was thunderous, but it was the president's next words that sent shockwaves through the room. He revealed that I was not only the valedictorian with a perfect grade point average, but also the winner of a prestigious national business innovation competition. The business I built from scratch was now valued at over 6 figures. The audience erupted in cheers. I glanced toward my parents, their faces draining of color, expressions shifting from confusion to horror as the truth settled in. The daughter they had overlooked was now celebrated as the university's most outstanding graduate. Brooke stood among the crowd, tears streaming down her cheeks, clapping wildly in support. Grandma Eleanor's smile could have lit the entire auditorium. That day, I didn't just graduate, I claimed my worth, proving that the limitations others placed on me were theirs to bear, not mine. The family dinner following the graduation ceremony was anything but ordinary. The grand house my parents had rented buzzed with relatives, eager to celebrate Brooke's achievements. I received a polite invitation that made it clear I was an afterthought. "We assumed you'd be busy with work." "Claire," Mom said, forcing a smile, "but you're welcome to join us if you can make it." Stepping into the crowded room, I felt a mix of determination and calm. The tension was palpable as conversations hushed and eyes turned toward me. My parents greeted me with strained warmth, their usual confidence replaced by discomfort. Dad's jovial tone rang hollow as he introduced me to the gathering. "Here's Claire, busy with her little projects," he said dismissively. The condescension was impossible to ignore. Before I could respond, Uncle James, known for his blunt honesty, interrupted, "Probably because you never asked about her plans." "Robert," he said sharply, "not once in the past 4 years." The room fell silent, the weight of truth hanging heavy. Aunt Susan raised an eyebrow. "Financially supporting both daughters equally is a tricky topic, isn't it? Especially when the university president made it clear Claire paid her own way." My mother stammered, offering the excuse of limited resources and Claire's independence. But Grandma Eleanor cut in firmly. "Independent by necessity, not choice," she said, eyes flashing. "Let's not rewrite history now that Claire's success is inconvenient for your story." The family watched as my parents struggled to maintain composure under scrutiny. Then, unexpectedly, Brooke spoke up. Her voice was clear and strong. "Mom, Dad, it's time to admit the truth. You favored me from the start. You invested everything in me and overlooked Claire. You were wrong about her potential. And today, everyone saw that." Tears welled in my mother's eyes, whether from regret or embarrassment. It was difficult to tell. Dad tried to steer the conversation back to celebration, but the damage was done. The family's perception shifted, and I was no longer the invisible daughter. That evening marked a turning point, one where truth cracked open the walls of favoritism and forced recognition, however reluctant, from those who once refused to see me. After that difficult evening, the path ahead was uncertain but filled with hope. My parents approached me days later, their voices tentative yet sincere. "We may have misjudged your potential," Mom admitted softly. Dad nodded, adding, "We want to try to rebuild our relationship, if you're willing." I considered their words carefully. The wounded girl inside me wanted to reject them completely, to make them feel the pain of years of neglect. But the woman I had become knew that healing required more than bitterness. "I'm open to starting anew," I told them. "But it must be on honest terms built on respect and recognition of the past, not denial." They agreed. Acknowledging their favoritism had caused real harm. This honest admission, though uncomfortable for them, opened a door I had long closed. Over the following months, we took tentative steps toward rebuilding trust. Meanwhile, Brooke and I grew closer, shedding the roles our parents had assigned us. She embraced empathy and understanding, her admiration for my resilience deepening. I, in turn, found peace and forgiveness, not to erase the past, but to reclaim my own worth. I also established a scholarship for students overcoming adversity, hoping to ease the path for others like me. My journey had taught me that self-worth comes from within, not from the validation of others. In the end, I realized that the greatest victory was not proving my parents wrong, but discovering my own strength and value. The shadows of my past no longer defined me. They had forged the woman I had become. This story reminds us that our true worth isn't defined by others' recognition, but by the resilience and determination we cultivate within ourselves. Claire's journey from feeling invisible and dismissed to achieving remarkable success on her own terms is a powerful testament to the strength we all have to overcome adversity and rewrite our own stories. It encourages us to never let unfair judgments limit our potential and to keep pushing forward even when support is scarce. This story is a work of fiction created for educational and entertainment purposes only. It is not intended to attack or defame any individual, family, or organization. Any resemblance to real persons or events is purely coincidental. If this story moved you or sparked a thought, please let us know by commenting below. Your likes, shares, and subscriptions help us create more stories that inspire and entertain. Don't forget to hit that subscribe button and turn on notifications so you never miss an update. Thank you for watching and being part of our community.